Hey!
Hey, I'm CJ,
And I'm Robin.
and welcome to the Cozy Kitchen.
Come and make yourself comfortable here with us by the fire.
Let's chat about baking, friendship, and cozy hobbies. And if there's time and enough tea, maybe we'll even unravel some traumatic backstories.
There should always be enough tea. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to another Cozy Kitchen. It's so good to have you all here.
Yes, holiday season is in gear.
Yes, it is in full swing. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm simultaneously loving it, but I'm also very tired.
Yes, same here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because CJ, you've had a lot of social events to attend, I think, and it is just amazing to me how busy everything gets around this time of year. It's crazy. It feels like we just don't have time for anything.
Yeah. Like last night, I only slept 5 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, I got home at 1 a.m., took a shower, and just fell into bed. And then I had to wake up at 7 a.m. to get a ride from my cousin. It is complicated, anyways. Um,
Wow. So are you telling me that a nap is in order today? Because that's what it sounds like to me.
yeah, a nap is in order, except I need to go to a friend's graduation that is 3 hours away. So
Oh
I
my
don't know. I
gosh.
think we're going to have to survive on coffee.
You got this. I know you've got this. Wow, that is a very, very full weekend. Oh my
Yes.
goodness.
And
You
I know,
know,
Robin, your weekend is jam-packed too.
yes, yeah, my partner had a pottery sale. He's a potter and he makes pottery, not as a living, just as a hobby on a side thing. And we were getting to a point where there was so much of it just in our household that we were like, you know what, it might be time to do a little bit of a sale. And so that's what we did yesterday. We had a sale at the clubhouse of our apartment complex neighborhood, and it was really wonderful. We had some great friends stop by. He had some people from his work stop in. We got a lot of stuff sold. It was really great. And I got to make cinnamon rolls for the occasion. That was fun. Those are soft
Ooh.
and fluffy, delicious. And I am so glad because I thought they were going to overproof. They did not. So
What recipe did you use?
it was from the lovely Sally's Baking Addiction.
Oh.
She's I just her recipes are always amazing, and hers was I think it was like the quick and easy cinnamon rolls. She has another one for overnight cinnamon rolls,
Mm,
which I will do
mm.
on Christmas Eve. I'm gonna
Mhm.
make those on Christmas Eve because one of our traditions for Christmas is we have cinnamon rolls for Christmas Day morning, and that's part of our breakfast. So I'm gonna do that. But for yesterday, I ended up doing ones that were a little quicker. They only needed, I think it was like an hour and a half to proof.
Mhm.
So I was able to get up a little earlier and make them, and they're ready to go. They made the whole clubhouse smell really, really good. So it was
Aw,
a good time.
that's so nice. I hope you took pictures. I wanna see pictures if you did.
I took a single Snapchat, but I did keep it. So
Okay.
so I will show you what we had.
Yes. Oh, man.
Yeah,
Speaking of tradition, I wanna hear all about your Christmas tradition. Like, last time we talked about cookie boxes, and we need to dig into that.
yes. Oh my gosh. I love like all holiday, all Christmas traditions. It makes me so happy. And I want to get into yours too. So, first things first.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Christmas was always just such a magical time in our household growing up. That was thanks to our mom. I was going to say it was mostly thanks to our mom, but it was all thanks to her.
Aw.
She worked so tirelessly to do everything under the sun so that we had just the most magical Christmas.
Mhm.
And a lot of it was because she had a very traumatic childhood herself. Her dad, when she was 7 years old, her dad and mom got into a car accident the day before Christmas Eve,
Mhm.
and her dad passed away.
Aw.
And her mom was still alive. My grandma's still with us. But as a result of that car accident, Christmases in that household for a long time were just a very somber occasion, especially for those first few years after it happened.
Mhm.
Just it was, I think, a very harsh reminder of how the holidays were not always so cheerful for everybody.
Mhm.
And I think that my mom didn't want that for us growing up. I don't think that she wanted us to
Mhm.
have sad, somber Christmases. And so
Mhm.
when we came along, she was like, all right, we're doing this. She really, really just went above and beyond to make sure that our holidays were wonderful. And
Mhm.
that included, we always went to this Christmas tree nursery that was near us. We always
Mhm.
had a live tree, at least up until maybe we were teenagers,
Mhm.
but we would go and we would drive to this beautiful Christmas tree farm that was nearby, and I just remember there was so much of that pine smell in the air.
Mhm.
There were other families there with their little kids, and,
Mhm.
there were a couple years where we would go and they would have a little store section. We could pick out, like, our own little Christmas ornaments,
Mhm.
and that was always very fun. And I remember getting home and I wanted to, like, start decorating the tree immediately, but you can't do that. You have to let the tree's limbs settle and everything.
I didn't
Um,
know that.
yeah, yeah, at least that was how we always did it.
Mhm.
First thing was we put the tree into water and, like, very carefully took off the netting and everything. But
Mhm.
yeah, we had to wait for about a day or so before it was ready to start putting the lights on
Mhm.
and everything.
Mhm.
And I don't know about anybody else, but we were a white light Christmas tree household. And it was obviously, growing up in the 90s, incandescents. I don't
Mhm.
I CJ, I would love to know your thoughts on the matter too,
Uh-huh.
because I do not like holiday lights that are the LED lights. I think they're so
Oh.
bright. I think they're
Mhm.
very, very harsh, and
Mm.
I'm not a huge fan of them. I
Mhm.
prefer
Mhm.
soft, warm,
Mhm.
glowy,
Mhm.
incandescent types of lights.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I want to take a break real quick, and I want to see what your do you have opinions on this?
I don't have an opinion on it. It never even occurred to me to question what type of lighting on the tree. Um, but generally speaking, I do prefer a soft, warm light for, like,
Mhm.
these cozy situations. So, I totally get that.
Yeah, and it's interesting. My partner does a lot of his grad student work was looking at light and how different. And I'm going to explain it really terribly, but he understands a lot better than I do
Mhm.
about, like, things like the filaments and things that are used to make those kinds of light bulbs. He
Hmm.
understands more about how it's all done and why LEDs have that brightness and why
Mhm.
incandescents don't. And
Mhm.
there are LED lights that are more energy efficient, that
Mhm.
do have that softer, more glowy kind of
Mhm.
vintage vibe that a lot of
Mhm.
people really like.
Yeah.
And I don't remember the name of the company, but they do exist.
Mm.
You can order them. I don't recommend ordering them, like, in the Christmas season because that's just not realistic. But
Yeah.
it's one of those things that you get in July or
Yeah.
something.
The sale will
Um,
come afterwards.
Exactly, exactly. But, yeah, I'm getting off track with the lights. But yeah, we had so many wonderful holiday traditions, and just the Christmas season itself was just filled with glowing, fuzzy feelings. It
Mhm.
was one of the times of year where I think our mom was very purposeful in not drinking as much, and that was a really wonderful thing.
Mhm.
Um, so it was just a wonderful time in general.
Mhm.
And I started actually Christmas time whenever I was maybe in, like, 7th or 8th grade, maybe 6th grade. That
Mhm.
was where I got started with my baking journey in general.
Mhm.
So every year my mom would bake, and we would always have a tray of Christmas cookies, and we would
Mhm.
love to help her. I'm sure that she used every ounce of patience that she had because having little kids help you with Christmas cookies is not always, I am sure, the easiest,
Yeah.
but, there was one year when she was going to law school. She was getting her master's,
Mm. Mhm.
and she was insanely busy, and I was old enough at that point that I could step up a little bit, and she was like, "Hey, I just don't have the time or energy in me this year to make these cookies. I need your help. Will you help me with baking the cookies this year?"
Mhm.
And the eldest daughter in me was just like, "Of course, yes, let me take this from you and I will do it and I will be excited to do it." And
Uh-huh.
yeah. And you know what's funny is I don't even remember what all I ended up making that year. I'm sure that
Mhm.
it was I tried to follow the recipe as closely as I could, but as a beginner baker, they probably were not all that great.
Mhm.
Um, I'm pretty sure I made a bunch of sugar cookies, and
Mm.
I think I must have also done some kind of, like, chocolate chip or some kind of peanut butter blossom or something.
Mhm.
But I'm sure that there was a lot to be desired from them, but I remember just finding that responsibility and taking it and running with it,
Mhm.
and now I make Christmas cookies every single year. I love doing it,
Mhm.
and now I have a very specific method to my madness as far as cookie
Uh-huh.
boxes go.
Yes, we need to get into that.
Mhm.
Before I do ask you more questions on that, I'm just like imagining little Sarah. Were you opening a cookbook on your own and like taking out all the flour and the butter and the eggs? Tell me more about the process of what you remember.
Yeah, I feel like I remember, taking out all the ingredients, and I remember my mom specifically instructing me on what to do, and she was saying, "Before you even start baking," and this is advice that I still follow to this day,
Mm.
"Before you even begin to bake, before you combine any ingredients, get everything out that you know you're going to need, make
Mhm.
sure you have enough of it, and then you can start." And she also was like, "Read through the recipe before you start anything, make sure that you
Mhm.
know what to do at each step so that that way you know what to do."
Mhm.
And that is simultaneously very good advice for me to follow,
Yeah.
and my ADHD brain does not wanna do it. I just wanna dive right in and just start creaming together butter and sugar and just
Uh-huh.
going for it, but it's definitely a lot better to do it that way and to go slow and steady and with a plan, and yeah, even though my ADHD brain is, like, scrabbling at the walls, just being like, "No, please, let me just dive in."
Yes, let's just go. Let's do it. Like
Yeah.
with the cookie boxes, like when you were little, were they meant for just immediate family or was it like extended family, like you would send it out? Tell me more about what your mom before you took over, like what was your mom's like process and what was she doing with those boxes?
So we didn't really do cookie boxes necessarily. We would just make cookies for a cookie platter. And
Uh-huh.
I think sometimes she would send them to our elementary school. She
Hmm.
would probably even package some up for some neighbors and everything. But
Mhm.
I don't remember her doing dedicated cookie boxes the
Mm.
same way that I would do them today. And it's, having 3 young kids probably has an influence on that. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
She, I think, would pick a few recipes, tried and true recipes that
Mhm.
that she knew would look nice on the cookie tray and also would be more or less crowd pleasers,
Mhm.
and that's, I think, how she narrowed down what she would make. And
Mhm.
also I think a lot of some of the recipes did come from, like, her own upbringing. So,
Mhm.
my great-grandma, my Mima, and this was my mom's dad's mother, she would do a lot of hosting and a lot of entertaining, and
Mhm.
I think she would bake quite a bit. So she would make these they're called Italian rainbow cookies,
Mhm.
and you see them a lot if you go to an Italian store, or I don't know if you'd see them in, like, delis, but
Mhm.
they're basically those little square sandwich cookies that have red, green, and white, like, cake and everything, and you've
Yeah.
got filling in between each layer, and so she would make stuff like that because I think it just reminded her of her Mima.
Mhm.
um, so there would be a couple of recipes that she would try to include that I think reminded her of her Mima.
Mm, mhm.
um, and our grandma would also she doesn't bake quite as much, but she would go to a local bakery and she would bring cookies from them.
Mhm.
So It's so funny how a lot of the baking that I do today for Christmas is culmination of stuff that my mom made, stuff that my Mima
Mhm,
would have made, stuff that my
mhm,
grandma would have brought to our
mhm,
house, stuff that
mhm,
my bubby would have made. Like I
mhm.
love pulling inspiration from so
Yeah.
many different corners of my family tree.
Yeah.
It's very
So
fun.
are there okay, so let's get into your cookie boxes now, today. Are there specific cookies you think about that is associated to one female in your family?
Yes, it's
Okay.
actually I didn't realize it, but that's how I do it. So, whenever I'm making cookie boxes, I have a couple parameters that I like to live by. These are by no means hard and fast rules, and this is not me saying, "Oh, everybody should do it this way." This is just how I do it, but
Mhm,
I like for my cookie boxes to all have a variety in them. I don't
mhm,
want them to be all gingerbread or all chocolate. I wanna have
mhm,
flavors, different textures,
mm,
because to me that's what I would like to receive. I like a lot of variety. Again, spicy ADHD brain, I need novelty, I need new, I need different.
mhm, mhm,
So for a lot of my cookie boxes, I will do one kind of cookie that's like a nutty kind of cookie, and that is usually some kind of a arugula that
mhm,
my bubby would have made. So my
mhm,
bubby made wonderful cookies, and rugula is the cookie that I most associate with her,
mhm,
and it's a very interesting dough because it has cream cheese in it.
mm,
And it requires a lot of chilling and because it's got the cream
mhm,
cheese and the butter and the
mhm,
dough itself doesn't have any sugar in it.
mhm,
That not that I can remember, but,
mhm,
or if it does, it has very little, but it's mostly butter, cream cheese, flour, maybe some vanilla. And I could be totally wrong on that, it's been a while. Also, I don't have my bubby's actual recipe for rugula. My One of my cousins might have it,
oh, mhm,
but I don't have it, so I just find what I can, usually Sally's Baking Addiction.
mhm,
But I like to have a mixture of, different kinds of, like, nuts and also preserves in mine, so I will make the dough, which it's very easy to make. It's like cream cheese, butter, flour, probably a little bit of sugar, but not a whole lot, and I like to add vanilla to mine just because I like the flavor that it gives. And I will chop up, I believe it's walnuts and pecans, and I like to stir in a little bit of cinnamon, and I like to do a little bit of like different kinds of nice spices and everything. So I'll do that, and then once the dough is made, once it's been chilled and ready to go, I'll roll it out. I will cut it into the triangles because that's how you make the little crescent shapes.
mm,
Because that's how I've always made them. I think that's how Bubby
mhm,
made them too, but I don't know. And so I will smear a little bit of apricot preserves, and then
mhm,
I will use that as the base to put the chopped spiced nuts on there.
mhm,
And I like it because first of all, it adds a nice flavor. Second of all, because it helps the nuts kind of adhere to the cookie a bit better than if they just went onto the dough just
mm,
without anything else.
mhm,
And the other thing I would recommend if anybody wants to try making these, have some parchment paper on the bottom of the cookie sheet because it's got the preserves and everything, that's gonna get a little bit melty, and it really saves a lot of cleanup if you're able to have some parchment paper down on there.
mhm,
So that's one kind of cookie, and then the other kinds of cookies that I like to make, so I have one cookie that is like a nutty kind of cookie. I have one that's primarily fruit flavored. I
mhm,
have one that is more like a chocolatey kind of cookie, and then the last one can be just something that's colorful. I love
mhm,
having a little bit of color in my cookie boxes.
mhm,
So yeah, so my cookies for this year, I'm gonna be doing my rugula. I will also be making I love these soft ginger cookies,
mm,
and I like to dunk them in white chocolate, and it just the combination of that really sharp, like, hot ginger taste mixed with
mhm,
white chocolate, I think is really good. And then I also will do I call them pistachio wreath cookies, but
mhm,
it's basically and these are something that I just found, I really like them, they're very colorful, they're very pretty, but
mhm,
it's basically like a short bread that I will put orange zest into, and I will cut it out with a biscuit cutter. So it already has a very not leafy necessarily, but it's a leafy enough kind of a shape,
Mhm.
And once everything's baked, I will smear some raspberry jam on the one part of the cookie. The other part of the
Mhm.
cookie, I cut out a hole, like a circle in the middle,
Mhm.
and that one gets dunked in some white royal icing and sprinkled with pistachios. And then you just
Mm.
put them both together, and it's like you've got the red jam in the middle, you've got the beautiful ring of pistachios on the outside.
Mhm.
It's such a pretty addition to a cookie
Mhm.
box. And then my last cookie is peanut
Magic.
butter blossoms.
Ah.
Peanut butter blossoms are a household favorite. They are my partner's favorite. So
Mhm.
I always make a double batch of those every year. And
Mm.
some of those just go to him as his Christmas present. So we're gonna do that, and then I wanted to, if I have the time, and
Mhm.
this is a bonus cookie, I wanna do, I don't even know if this is the right name for it, but there it's the only place that I could find them was if I Googled sandwich cream cookies. And these are cookies that my grandmother would bring. She doesn't really bake a whole lot, but whenever she would come around for Christmas, she would bring a whole box of different kinds of cookies from a local bakery.
Mhm.
And my favorite out of all of those cookies was, it was like these little, they were slightly bigger than a quarter, but they were
Mhm.
smaller little sandwich cookies. And
Mhm.
the cookie part was usually a vanilla cookie, and it was soft and it was vanilla flavored, and in the middle was this really delicious, mega hyper sweet buttercream, and it would
Mm.
be dyed like a green or red just to add a little bit of color. So if I have the time, I would also very much to make those. But that's what's going in my cookie boxes this year. That's what's going to be on our cookie tray, and I don't know.
Awesome. And, like,
It's just fun.
which cookie, like, reminds you most of your mom?
Oh, that's a good question. I love that question. Honestly, the one that reminds me most of my mom, I don't think is one that I'm making this year. It would probably be the rainbow Italian cookies that I mentioned before. I think
Mhm.
that reminds me the most of her, just because that was what her Mima used to make. She talks about them a lot.
Mm. Mhm.
And they're delicious, but they are a multi-step cookie. It's
Mm.
not as simple as like a drop cookie,
Mhm.
or anything like that. And because I'm doing the pistachio wreath cookies, I don't have it in me to do a whole lot of other cookies with a whole lot of other steps.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
So I will, and also those rainbow Italian cookies, you need almond paste to make
Oh.
those, and that gets expensive. And we're already having our in-laws over, and
Mhm,
it's a lot.
mhm.
So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, but
You don't wanna
I've talked.
self-sabotage, right?
Exactly, exactly. I am self-sabotaging. I don't wanna be that self-sabotaging, not this year. I don't, and I'll tell you one thing, in our last apartment, we had a pantry. CJ, I miss having a pantry so much. If you are a baker and if you love baking around this time of year, it is so hard to not have a dedicated closet that is just for food
Mhm,
and ingredients.
mhm.
It's, oh my gosh. So anyway, I've been going on about our Christmas traditions and
Yes.
cookie boxes and everything, and I would love to talk a little bit about your own holiday traditions, your own Christmas traditions. Because like Christmas is a very American holiday, and I don't think you and your family celebrated it a whole lot, right? Like, what kinds of things would you do around this time of year?
Pray. Yeah, that was, starting from Thanksgiving, you get your standard week off. My mom would be like, "We are going to the temple and we are going to pray 9 to 5 like it's a job." So that is my memories of Thanksgiving, and then when it came to winter break, I only really have one memory of this one year they got Christmas tree, and it wasn't even a real tree, so I didn't get all that pine smell that you get from a freshly cut tree. But it was very pretty. Like, I remember it was like a faux tree that they put up, and they had tinsel and Christmas lights and the star on top, and I was like, "Oh my god, we're just like a normal American family." And that was just that one year. It sat in the living room next to this brownish, like, plaid brown sofa that they probably got at a yard sale or something. But I just remember it just looked so festive and it felt like a cozy house.
Now,
Um,
what
mhm.
was it that made your parents get a Christmas tree that year? Do you remember? Like, do you remember what the spark was that lit up, or like what was the thing that started that?
I wish I knew. I was probably in, I'd say, like, 2nd grade,
Mhm.
so I was pretty young. I don't know what sparked that inspiration. In thinking back, maybe what happened was they may have been inspired by my aunt. I don't know if my aunt had a Christmas tree or anything, but when we visited, oh, so one thing during the holidays, one thing that we did multiple years was drive down to Los Angeles to see my aunt and cousin because there was enough of a winter break for me, and my dad was probably going to take time off, and we would drive down. And I remember my aunt taking me to see all the Christmas. There was like a neighborhood near them that had really just gorgeous outdoor displays of Christmas lights and decor, nativity scenes and stuff
Mhm.
that may have been the inspiration for my parents to do it one year, but it was
Very
just
cool.
that one year, and because it's a lot of work, like this giant tree, you have to set it up and then decorate it, and then it's only up for like a month, and you have to take it down. And once it was down, it was in the garage the rest of its life.
Oh, the poor tree.
I know.
At least it got one Christmas.
Yeah.
Oh man. That's
Yeah.
but it was like the American traditions. I think you mentioned before that your aunt was that she tends to do more incorporate more American types of traditions into her holidays and everything, right? Like I think you might have mentioned something like that around like the Thanksgiving dinner that you guys had that she did a little bit more with like the peach cobbler and everything.
Oh, yes. Yeah, my
Mhm.
my aunt is pretty Americanized. She's very free thinking, she's very adaptable and open. She was the cool aunt, and, like, she had a video rental store, so she could talk to anyone. Like,
Mhm.
any customer you come in, she will just have a really fun conversation with you, and she's just such a natural conversationalist.
Yeah.
So she's I mean, at this point, she's lived in America longer than she had in Taiwan, so she's American through and through, whereas my mom is a different story. I mean, she's lived here most of her life too now, but
Mhm.
she celebrates the Asian holidays more, so come Chinese New Year, I'll have more to talk about, but
Yeah. And I would
during
love to know more because we didn't I feel like a lot of those traditions are still very new to me. I'm still learning a lot about
Mhm.
that holiday. So that yeah, I'm all here for it. I'm very excited for those episodes.
Yeah, yeah, and the American holidays is more of a adult reinvention for me, and you were saying earlier about the pantry. Oh my god, when it comes to holiday cooking, I love my pantry. Just walking in and having all the flour and the sugar and all these ingredients in the spice rack, it's just it's a breath of fresh air whenever I go in there. I love my pantry.
Now, I would love to hear you get more into your own holiday baking traditions, especially around Christmas time and this time of year, because, like you said, as a kid, you didn't really do a whole lot of the Christmas traditions. So I would love to hear about how, as an adult, have you incorporated that into your celebrations, into this time of year? Because I think you mentioned before that, that even though as a kid you didn't really celebrate a whole lot that way, there was a part of you that kind of wanted to, right?
Yeah, yeah, and I think that, like, it probably transcends culture, as in every culture, there's, like, these holidays where it's all about getting together with family and having a, like, nice hot meal, and at least in my family, for certain, is that those meals have to be like overflowing with food. There has to be leftovers. If there are no leftovers, we did the job wrong. That just translates similarly to, the American style holidays, and so I like to have a big spread as well.
Mhm.
Um, this year, I don't have a whole lot of family with me right now. I have a cousin that's close by, but that's about it. And she works so much, she's probably working Christmas. And so I'm kind of flying solo, although I am probably gonna be with friends this holiday. But w when they are family, I definitely like to use the oven. And with a nice size oven, like a standard size, you can just have all sorts of stuff in there, and when it's time to sit down to eat, it's gonna be hot. You just take it out and everything's piping hot. And what I want to do, I like to make vegetarian chicken pot pies. I like to make shepherd pies. These are all baking,
Oh,
right?
delicious. And comfort foods too, like perfect for this time of year when where you are, the weather doesn't get super, super cold, but it is nice for whenever the temperature dips below 60.
Yeah, we could pretend that there's snow.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, but this year I have I think I said it before, but I want to make a beef Wellington,
Mhm.
and I don't know. I think the thing is, it really depends on my schedule. Like, might have travel plans for Christmas, and that means if I'm traveling, I can't cook. So I may
Mhm.
have to wait until after Christmas. But I do really want to get to this beef Wellington that I've been planning for the longest time.
Mm.
The other thing that I used to love making, and we used to have some friends over for the holidays, I make a good sauerbraten.
A what?
A sauerbraten.
A sauerbraten. This is
Mhm.
new to me. Please explain.
Sauerbraten is a German roast that
Oh,
is soaked in a vinegar spice solution
like a
overnight,
pickle.
or what is that?
Like a pickle?
Yeah, you're pickling meat, basically. You are cooking your
Interesting.
meat in a vinegar solution with spices, like, you'll have, like, juniper berries and stuff in there. Um,
Ooh,
yeah, yeah, and
awesome.
you it's better if you soak it for more than overnight. So I like to do it for 2 or 3 days, longer if you want. It gets
Hmm.
really tender, so
Ooh.
juicy. It is one of my favorites, and recently I went to Whole Foods, and there's this roast that I really like to use to make this sauerbraten. It's called corn, and it's a holiday roast. It's just a loaf of
Mhm.
veggie meat.
Oh,
And it's
cool. And you
always
said corn is the brand name you said?
yes, Corn is the brand name. It's Quorn,
Oh, cool.
from England, like Britain. And they'll mostly only sell this roast during the holidays, during Thanksgiving and stuff. And
Mhm.
so I went and I saw it and I was like, I'm gonna stock up because I'm not gonna find this the rest of the year. So I bought like half a dozen.
Good call, honestly. And I'm assuming that can you just stash it in the freezer or okay, awesome.
Yeah, yeah. So I've got it stashed in the freezer, and I want to make that too. But when you're cooking for yourself, you get lazy.
Yeah, I understand that. I was the number of times I have tried to make a meal and I'm just like, "Ugh, I guess this needs fiber. Whatever. I guess I should add something for protein. Who cares? Put it in there." Just I've gotten to a point where I've just been like, "I need a vegetable, but I can't be bothered to cook anything," and I will just shovel spinach into my face.
Yeah.
I don't know if you do the same
Yes, I
thing.
just look in the freezer and it's, oh, frozen broccoli. I'm gonna nuke that. I'll just eat that.
Yeah, exactly. It's just if you're doing it for yourself, then it just doesn't feel I don't know. I hate to say that it doesn't feel as special, but It's like, and I think you and I both share this, but we get a lot of joy out of preparing food for other people, whether it's friends or family or anybody. And it's just so odd to me that we don't experience that same level of dedication and joy when it comes to making food for ourselves. That's what's up with that.
Yeah, it's some kind of self-hatred apparently.
Yes. I mean, just we're calling a spade a spade. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh.
I don't know if it's self-hatred, but it's definitely not done with as much love and thought as,
Yeah.
but I mean that's so true though, like in the same way that we are our own harshest critics, we also tend to put a lot more love and effort into something that we're doing for somebody else.
Mhm.
So we're giving ourselves a short end of the stick here. Jeez.
I know, I
Hell.
know.
It's not okay.
Yeah.
I'm hearing these words back. I feel like I'm in a therapy session.
Yes.
I feel like I'm at that point of a therapy session where my therapist makes me realize something insightful and I go, "Wait a second. You were making me think this whole time? How dare you? You made me come to a conclusion based off of things that I've been saying? Rude."
Oh, man.
Anyway, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Back
You're
okay.
gonna make some good food for the holidays.
Yes. So those are kind of like my fantasies right now. Who knows if that's gonna materialize.
Mm.
But back to your Christmas cookie boxes. I'm
Yes.
curious, like, how many boxes are you making? Like, who are you sending them to?
So, in years past, and when we lived in our apartment in North Carolina, I made boxes for all of our friends. We had the most wonderful community of friends in that
Mhm.
neighborhood. And so
Aw.
I would make cookie boxes for each household. And that was a good, trying to count, at least 7 or 8 different households that I would make cookie boxes for. And these are not, I want to preface and say these are not massive cookie boxes. They
Mhm.
were, I want to say, they were square shaped. They were probably, if it helps you visualize it at all, I got these cookie boxes off of Amazon and they were the paper ones. You just fold them and you could probably fit about 4 smallish donuts in each of these cookie boxes. If that
Okay.
helps you visualize it at
Mhm,
all,
mhm,
that's about where we were at. Not like a huge Krispy Kreme glazed kinda, like, I'm talking, like,
mhm,
smaller than that.
mhm. Like a little cake donut?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like, you
Mhm,
could probably fit 4 of those,
mhm,
in these cookie boxes. So, it was like, it was still a lot of cookies,
mhm.
but it ended up evening out, and it was just so nice to be able to send these out, and what actually we did whenever for the 2 years we lived in this neighborhood, I would take our dog on a walk, and he and I would pretend to be, like, Santa going around in the sleigh and delivering
Aw.
cookie boxes to everybody, because that's how we met all of these wonderful people,
Aw.
is like, our dogs all were playing together all the time
Uh-huh,
in the park, and our friendship just grew from there, and
uh-huh.
so my dog and I we'd go around and tote around all these cookie boxes. We'd visit each person
Aw.
individually and knock on the door, "Hey, Merry Christmas, here's your cookie box,"
Uh-huh.
and we would just go around the neighborhood, and he'd get to see his friends for a few minutes,
Mhm.
and
Aw.
sometimes our friends would already have some cookies for us, and we would do a little exchange, and
Aw.
yeah,
That's so nice.
it was really fun. I miss those people so much, and we still talk
Mhm.
all the time.
Oh, that's great.
Um, yeah, but anyway, I would love to go back to your holiday celebrations 'cause,
Mhm.
like, it sounds like you're gonna be pretty busy this year, but I'm so curious, like, what does if you were to prepare a Christmas feast and everything,
Mhm.
like, what would a Christmas feast look like in your household as an adult today? Give me all the sensory details, like, what would be on your
Mm.
table? What would you have would you wanna do decorations for Christmas? Like, I would
Mhm.
love to know what a Christmas dinner would look like if you were to go to your house.
Okay, so, yes, let's start with, like, the table would it wouldn't have anything like fancy decoration. Like it would just
Mhm.
be a very plain setting. I like a good British dinner, like a
Mhm.
British a happy Christmas dinner.
Oh, I
Um,
love that.
yes, and the guy that I love is Gordon Ramsay. Like when it comes to Christmas cooking, Gordon Ramsay is my go-to. He has a
Classic.
great like 1 or 2 episodes just on Christmas.
Oh,
And I have tried to recreate his recipes in a vegetarian format. Like that is to me the ideal Christmas.
that sounds
Um,
wonderful. Because a lot of his dishes are more, they tend to be more meat heavy, right? I don't know. I've not followed him very closely, but I don't think he has a whole lot of vegetarian stuff, or maybe he does and I just don't know about it.
he actually is a health nut. He has a whole book. Let me see. Do I have it? I know I have it somewhere else. Oh no, I have it here. Basically, Gordon Ramsay has this book called Healthy, Lean, and Fit. Um,
Ooh.
yeah, it's. I just have it here. He's quite an athlete. Like he wanted to be
Oh,
like a professional soccer player when he was young, but then he got an injury that prevented that from happening, and that's how he ended up becoming a chef. And then a
wow.
really good one.
That's awesome. That's very cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I've watched, obviously, like Hell's Kitchen is probably what he's most known for. And I've seen a lot of his more Americanized shows about how he comes into a failing restaurant and helps the owners figure out how to make it, how to get it back on its feet and everything. And I've watched the American version of that and I've watched the British version of it. And the British version I find is a lot nicer. Like he has high expectations of people who are going to call themselves chefs. And I think
Mhm.
that's a very fair thing to do.
Mhm.
And I think that whenever somebody is acting up, whether it's for the camera or not, I feel like he is very good about kind of setting them straight and just telling them how things are. But I find that in the British version of those shows, he's able to show that nicer side of him, I think, that
Mhm.
just doesn't get enough or as much viewership as it would for an American audience, which I think sucks. I like
Mhm.
the more mild version of him that isn't constantly screaming at people.
Yes. Yes.
But you find a lot of inspiration in his cooking and everything,
Mhm.
right? Like,
Yes.
is there anything in particular, like any kinds of cooking methods he uses, any spices, any recipes in particular that you really love getting inspiration from, especially for this time of year?
So his turkey, I really like how he uses lemon in it.
Ooh,
In the
really nice
brine.
thing. Mhm.
Yeah, it adds that citrusy without so much of the sweetness to it. Um,
Yeah.
so I think like the brine that his recipe calls for in the turkey roast, that one's really nice. So on the table, I definitely want a centerpiece, which would
Mhm.
be like a roast of some sort. It could be a honey glazed ham. That's
Ooh.
that sounds delicious. And my struggle, so because I'm vegetarian, I try to make the roast as as similar to the meat version as possible. The only struggle I have is the shape of it because these things always come in like a log format or a loaf,
Mhm.
and it doesn't look like a turkey. It doesn't, maybe with the ham, it looks that's like a loaf too, but I just want the aesthetics to look like
Mhm.
a turkey where you can carve into. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I want to recreate that feeling. But then everything else would be just like the comfort foods, the pot pies, the shepherd pies, any sort of gratin.
Now,
I
oh,
like.
actually, I'm so glad you brought this up because my partner and I were discussing yesterday because I said that I wanted to make potatoes au gratin for our Christmas Day
Mhm,
dinner because I really like them. His parents also really like them.
mhm.
But what does that mean? Because it's au gratin is French, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I don't really know French. I think it's just like. something baked. Is just a fancy word for it, right?
I asked because I know that you were in France for a while and you sort of started to learn, and I like you, at this point, you know more of it than I do. So, and I was just like, I know what goes into potatoes au gratin, but I don't like what does this mean?
Yeah, I don't know either. And right now I'm asking Gemini as we speak, and it says "ao" is a contractions of "à le" or "at the" or "to the" or "with the."
Hmm.
Gratin, it actually derives from the French verb grater, which means to scrape or to scratch.
Okay, so I because the potatoes in that dish are usually sliced pretty like not super thin, but they're
Hmm.
usually fairly thin. So
Yeah.
maybe that's where that comes from. And it's usually like a creamier kind of a dish, I
Yep.
think. So
Yeah.
it's I don't know.
Yeah.
It's still a mystery to me, but maybe one day we'll do a deep dive on
Yes,
potatoes au gratin.
yeah. One of these days we could do a deep dive, and I love a good au gratin anything. It could be macaroni. It could be
Ooh.
I like a good cauliflower and I can make it vegan and then you can't tell a difference.
Oh my gosh, I'm here for that. I love cauliflower. I love roasting it. I love it with cheese. I love a really good, like, cheesy cauliflower soup kind of deal. I
Mhm.
don't like pressed cauliflower. That's kind of where I draw the line. I'm not a fan of the consistency. Um,
I'm there with you. I don't like it
okay.
either.
Yeah, and I just yeah, again, if it's in other dishes or if it's on honestly, I think cauliflower just on its own is really I love it. I think that's the most palatable, most delicious form.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I love it sounds like you're like you've got some really good ideas for your Christmas Day dinner table. I love that.
Yeah, yeah. It's probably not gonna happen this year.
Yeah. But and it's a double-edged sword, right? Because on the one hand, it is nice to not have to worry about it, not have to
Yeah.
plan grocery shop
Yep.
and all of that. But
Yep.
on the other hand, I don't know, there is something that's very also very heartwarming about being able to welcome people into your home and have everybody come in and sit down and enjoy food that you worked really hard to make and have everybody be like, "Hey, this is amazing. Thank you so much for having us over. This is so good.
Yes,
Sorry." But
we
it
need the
does feed the
validation.
ego.
Yes.
Yeah. You it feeds the heart, it feeds the ego, it feeds your
Yep.
stomach. It's
Yep. Yep.
is
We
that
need
why
validation that we are good at something.
I know. We've just discussed we're not giving that validation to ourselves. It's gotta come from somewhere.
I know.
Jiminy Christmas. Oh, but
Oh,
yes,
well.
that's I think we've learned a thing or 2
Yeah,
today.
yeah. So Christmas dinner is not over until we have the desserts. So let's bring out the desserts before we end this episode. What
Yes.
do you like? I know you make Yule log. What are you planning this Christmas?
Alright, so this Christmas, because my partner's family is coming in and they're staying for a few days, I am going to be making a couple different things. So, one, as I do want to make a Yule log cake because, first of all, I said I'm not self-sabotaging. I'm a little bit self-sabotaging this time, but I want to do like a Black Forest cherry, the Yule log cake. I just think that would be really good, and I want to try my hand at it. I'm also
Mhm.
going to be making tiramisu because it's
Mm.
my partner's mom's favorite, and tiramisu is one of those desserts that looks beautiful. It sounds complex. It is really fairly easy to make. Like
Yep.
tempering the eggs is
Mhm.
probably the worst of it. Even then, it takes next to no time to put it together.
Yep.
And I don't even use any like alcohol or anything in mine. I
Mhm.
just dunk the lady fingers into the coffee and
Yep.
stick them into the dish and say,
Mhm.
"Job done." And
Yep.
that's all there is to it.
Yep.
And so yeah, I think those are going to be the two desserts that I have on my table for Christmas and along with obviously the like all of the cookies and everything. How about for you? What desserts are you going to celebrate Christmas with this year?
Hmm. I think I said it last time at cake. Like I've been craving cake,
Mhm.
chocolate cake specifically.
Yes. Get that chocolate
Um,
cake.
yes, and there's this one recipe that I I like dream about often, and this is the one that I really want to make, and it's a long time consuming one. It's the malted chocolate cake in the Milk Bar. It's booked by the pastry chef from Momofuku in New York. And that cake, I've made it several times, and every time I have it, I'm just like, when can I get another hit of this? Because this thing is like a drug.
Wow, that must be incredible. I can understand why you would want to be making this.
Yes, yeah, and, like, I made it for my I think the last time I made it was, like, for my 40th birthday for myself. So, sometimes I will treat myself.
Yes, you have to.
Yes, and so I
Mhm.
may try to this year try to simplify this recipe because this recipe, like, it requires a lot of ingredients. You are basically making 3 or 4 separate recipes just to construct this cake. Um,
Wow.
yeah, and it's time consuming, it's a lot of work, but it is worth it in the end.
Mhm.
Um, so that is the cake that I'm really, like, craving.
That
It's not
sounds amazing.
Christmas specific, but, like, I could
No, but
probably put some decor that makes it look like Christmas.
yeah, put some, I don't know, some kinda, like, decorative holly with berries and stuff on there. I don't know, you
Mhm.
could do something, but I think that sounds like a wonderful way to celebrate Christmas, though, and I also think that in the future, we need to have a full episode whenever you do attempt this cake, that deserves its own episode. Like, it sounds like it is amazing, it also sounds like it is one heck of a time with baking it, and so, yeah, like, we need to do a full episode on that. I'm so glad that we got to talk about Christmas things. This
Yes,
made me really happy.
I know. Yes, Christmas is such a wonderful time of year, and I hope everyone has a wonderful, happy Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, everybody, and we will be seeing you real soon. Thank you so
Yeah,
much for joining.
thank you.
Yay!
That's it for this episode of Cozy Kitchen.
We're so glad you stopped by. We can't wait to see you the next time we sit by the fire. See you next time.
Next time.